Uh-huh.
The Fallout 76.
Absolutely.
What the fuck, Bethesda? E3 is a time of thrill, excitement, and honestly, a large amount of embarrassing, shitty moments, and that's what I love about E3. E3 2019 has been one of the most mixed E3s in terms of enjoyment. You either really liked it or you really hated it. But despite that, this year true innovation has been shown off at E3. And the future of the video game industry can be pinpointed to these exact conferences. And on top of everything, Sony didn't make an appearance this year, which allowed for the tinier companies right now, with Microsoft and Nintendo really lacking in sales, to shine this year. But Bethesda, I can't say it. I watched that conference and it was truly terrible. I just can't deal with it. Alright, so today I'm going to be rating each E3 conference that I watched with an honest rating on how I thought the conference went. Each conference will be rated out of 5, and I will crown the winner of E3 at the end of this video, so stay tuned. With the immediate notice of Sony not being present at this year's E3, it gave Microsoft the perfect opportunity to swoop in and steal the show away from fans. And they kinda did. With the reveal of the Xbox Scarlet, it seems really cool, incredibly powerful, and with what they said with 8K at 120 FPS, which I doubt is going to be a thing, it seems like it's really going to be an awesome console. But there is one thing that I really didn't like about it, and that is the current project name. Xbox Scarlet, compared to the Xbox One X's codename, Project Scorpion, was just completely off field, I guess you could say. It just made no sense to me. Other than the console reveal, games were shown this year. Some people say the majority of them were cinematic trailers, but at the show floor during E3, we got a lot of gameplay of the games we only got cinematic trailers of, and I'd say the cinematic trailers were just to hype up fans. Other than that, let me tell you about the games. Absolutely terrific. Microsoft did a really good job this year. We got a lot of cinematic trailers, which sucks, I think, for a lot of people. But there was a lot of gameplay shown, so I don't think that's too much of an issue, and I don't think I'd have to dock them for showing cinematic trailers when there was gameplay to back it up later on. But the only thing we didn't get to see was any gameplay of Halo Infinite, which is a really big letdown to any of the fans of the Halo series, because it seems like we keep getting hyped up with these completely bizarre and out-of-the-world cinematic trailers that just make the consumer super excited, but we're blue-balled basically on these cinematic movies, and it just makes the fan feel stupid. Other than that, Xbox really hit it out of the ballpark this year. They showed a lot of cool games, and I'm really excited. Ori and the Will of Wisps got a nice showcase to reassure fans, hey, guys, this is a thing, and it got me really excited. It looks so much better than the first one, and the first one was already an amazing game to start off with. The second game that I was super excited for that Microsoft showed off this year was Outer Lands. I am a huge open world RPG style person, and playing Fallout New Vegas for the first time made playing Fallout 3 a chore. Obsidian really seemed to be hitting it out of the ballpark this year with one game. And not to mention, this one game completely shit on the entirety of Bethesda's conference. Another game that was shown off this year was Minecraft Dungeons, which is a thing for some reason, and I'm oddly really excited for it. It just looks like a truly new experience, but not necessarily a new experience, I guess you could say. It looks like a really good game, and I don't know why. Battletoads really seems to revitalize the series with this game, and it makes me really hyped for them being a newcomer to the series. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga hypes me up so much. As a kid, I was an incredible fan of the trilogy, and I know that this will be a good thing. I don't know if they're remastering it or not, but if they do, it'll just be awesome. Microsoft Flight Simulator was a thing, but I don't know. It could be great. I know I'll play it. Gears 5 was shown off this year, and it looks cool, but I'm not a Gears fan, so I don't really know how I feel about it. Gears 4 was a nightmare, so I really don't have my hopes up too high. The Billie Eilish opening cinematic was really cool, though. Overall, I think the most exciting thing shown off this year at Microsoft conference had to have, hands down, been Cyberpunk 2077. This game I've been following for a while now, and when it got shown off this year, it really got me pumped for the game. It's releasing next spring, so it's a little bit far to wait, but I know the hype surrounding it will carry everybody to the release. It looks so good. The entire open world genre aspect has been dying out recently, with many games trying to match and make the feeling of a game like Breath of the Wild, where there are unique experiences at every corner. But it is CD Projekt Red, so I do have full hope that they can release something like this. The Witcher 3 was an amazing game. Overall, I can say Microsoft's presentation was a really good conference overall. It was basically an entire hour of games, and I think that made a lot of people really happy. Microsoft actually did a really good job this year compared to the last, and I can give them a solid 3.5 out of 5. Why? What the hell, Bethesda? What was this conference? The Battle Royale genre is already dying out, and you decided to put it in a game like Fallout 76, which is practically dead at this point? Guys, I played the Battle Royale in Fallout 76, and I can tell you 100%, the way you shoot in Fallout in that engine does not match an actual Battle Royale. It is not a fun experience. You load into the game and it's just not fun. On top of that, you guys announced way too many mobile games, and after all is said and done, you didn't have a lot to show other than Elder Scrolls Online expansions, which was just a long cinematic trailer. I couldn't keep my attention for 2 seconds. And then Commander Keen, which doesn't even look like a game? What? But I will hand it to id Software. Not even Bethesda. They have been pushing out really good games lately, and Doom Eternal seems to be pulling a Super Mario Galaxy 2, taking the core features of what made the original new Doom game so good, and just expanding on that, making it more accessible to all players. The new Wolfenstein games look really good, but I hate to say it, the Wolfenstein Cyberpilot is just a mech shooter style game with a Wolfenstein skin. It's for VR, so I kind of get why it has to be like that, but it just didn't look that appealing to me. Wrapping up this conference, which was very short and uninspiring and unexciting, they had no surprises this year other than an audience that seemed way too overexcited. No word on Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6, other than the quietly saying at the beginning of the presentation they're still under development, which was a large disappointment. Overall, Bethesda needs to take notes at what Sony did this year and take a break, which there's nothing wrong with, because it would allow to have time to sit there and say, we have time to stretch our arms and work on something the fans want. But instead, we got Fallout 76 Battle Royale. Some things were exciting in that presentation. Fallout 76 looks like it could be revitalized with this new NPC-style DLC coming, but the game is already dying out as is. But they did it with Elder Scrolls Online, so I believe they could do it with Fallout 76, but it's going to take a lot of hard work.
Rolling Stone!
Devolver, what the fuck? This conference was amazing, weird, tacky, all of the above. In light of these boring hour-and-a-half special of repetitive back-to-back games, Devolver decided to present something different to the table. As you know, they're a small indie company. They got to show what they have, but they also got to keep attention. So they decided to show off an intense, surreal presentation that teased the Nintendo Direct format, creating a storyline in the Direct itself, which I thought was really intriguing. It kept me hooked. I've never been like a true indie game developer follower, but with what Devolver has done this year, it truly has me excited. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout seems to be a really cool, quick King of the Hill style game that will have elements from Doritos Crash Course, if that makes any sense, kind of like a parkour element, but it looks really fun. So I think it'll be really cool in a 3D environments, so props to them. Carry On, oh my god, it flips the tables completely as you play a sick fucking creature who devours people and is really best described as how Devolver put it. It's a reverse horror game, which I think is really, really cool, and I'm really excited to pick it up when it comes out. My Friend Pedro comes out in a couple of days, and I am so excited for this game. It is going to be an absolute pickup for me. It looks so good. I was pumped last year, I'm pumped this year, and it's coming out soon, and I'm super excited. I am ready to fail a mission 6 times just because I wanted to pull off a sick trick in the game. And everything about this game screams indie, and you would typically never see something like this from a large AAA developer, and I am really excited for this game. Devolver, somehow, a small indie company, annihilated Bethesda, who is a monolith in the gaming industry, and I applaud them for that, so I definitely have to give them a solid 3 out of 5. I don't have a lot to talk about for Ubisoft, but their press conference went really well. They showed off some stuff that I'm really excited for this year, like Watch Dogs Grandma Edition seems like a cool mix-up on the Watch Dogs series where if you die in the game, you die in real life. Rainbow Six Quarantine is the 17th game in the Tom Clancy series, and for some reason, I'm really excited for it, even though we got no gameplay for it. Roller Champions got a demo and test for everyone to play, and from the couple games I've played, it seems really fun, so I'm excited for the full release of that. It is going to be a free-to-play game, so we don't know how that's going to work. It could be really bad and have a giant paywall, but we don't really know, so I'm excited for that. It would be the perfect game for Switch. Finally, at the end of the conference, Ubisoft comes in and goes, "Here's Gods and Monsters." It looks so awesome. It looks a little bit like Breath of the Wild, but it doesn't really matter. It takes kind of like it's kind of set in the environment of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I think is really cool. So I'm just waiting to play it, but it could be completely messed up if there's a trailing mission in it, but we don't really know. So I'm ready for it. Ubisoft earns a 3 out of 5. Oh my goodness, Nintendo hit it out of the ballpark this year. Not only did we get a sword fighter, which is something everybody wants, obviously. Urkel Dick and Friends from the Dragon Quest games looks really cool. But, you know, obviously being a sword fighter, he could have had so many different weapons, and the hero looks cool still, though. But, oh my goodness, at the end of the Direct, we got Banjo Kazooie, and this is such a service to the fans. This is awesome. I mean, I was never a huge Banjo fan growing up, but it has been requested so long that we get Banjo. And there are plenty of Banjo fans out there, and this is a step in the right direction for Nintendo. I mean, you gotta think, just years ago, we were getting Paper Mario Color Splash, and we had the Wii U, and that's what we were having to play Nintendo games on. Nintendo is picking up their slack with the Switch, and I love what they're doing with it. Alright, let's actually get to the games shown off at Nintendo's E3 conference. Oh my goodness, they were so good. I mean, first of all, before we talk about it, they open with this really nifty conference kind of like dialogue between the new Nintendo Director of America and one of the leads at Nintendo, and Bowser was also there, and the other Bowser was also there, and it was just kind of like, oh, it was a mix-up, and I thought it was really cool, so that's an awesome thing to mention. And then, you know, the new Director of America comes in and goes, all right, Luigi's Mansion 3. I love this game. Let's show you what it actually is. It completely made all my hopes for Luigi's Mansion so much higher than they already were. People were a little disappointed with the trailer we got months ago, but this really picked up the slack that was in that trailer. I mean, this game looks so good. The abilities look so good. Everything about this game screams Luigi's Mansion 1, minus the art style, which I still have to get used to. But it just, oh my goodness, it looks so good. And it seems like the perfect experience for all the fans of the series. I wasn't a fan of Luigi's Mansion 2, but it looks so good. After that, though, we got a large lineup of games, and holy balls did they show off some really good games. The remake of Link's Awakening has me really excited, and especially this dungeon mixer style seems really awesome. And as well, the color dungeon is going to be making a return, so I'm excited for that. I never played Link's Awakening as a kid, but this looks so good. Like, I'm really excited for it. The art style for that game is questioned by many people, but I say, like, the macro slide, like, Lin style of the toy and clay figures is really cool. But bam, Empire of Sins, it looks so fucking amazing. I mean, everything about that game screams amazing. I mean, I always wanted a mafia style shooter game with strategy elements in it as well, and it appears that we'll be able to take control of buildings, which gives it a Shakedown Hawaii vibe, which is a really awesome game. Next, we got Cadence of Hyrule, which just came out. Looks fucking dope. A rhythm game, but in the style of Zelda. I have yet to get it, but I'm really excited to jump into it. After that was this completely what the fuck moment. I mean, we had leaks about this, but no one actually expected it to be real. The Witcher 3 is getting a complete edition port to the Switch, and I have no clue how the hell it is going to work. It's like 120 gigabytes with all the DLC. I mean, I don't know. And then we got a Fire Emblem, but it comes back for the 18th time with another cinematic trailer, which was a little disappointing. So I guess that's cool. But finally, I mean, oh my goodness, the screen goes black. And at the bottom of the screen, white text appears, and we see info about Tom Nook, which begins to excite the shit out of me. And then, oh my god, bam, holy shit, this made me want to die. We get Animal Crossing New Horizons, which seems to take the favorite aspects from all the games and delve into them deeper. And then on top of that, they take out of the unfucking favorite features of the game, like having to spend 30,000 bells on a fucking park bench, which makes me go nuts with excitement. Sadly, though, the game got pushed back to March 2020. March 20th, 2020, which is cool, but it's sad that it got delayed. This makes many people sad, but the more and more I think about it, the game most likely wasn't going to launch until late 2019 as a holiday release, and Nintendo was most likely going to compete with themselves with their own games like Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Fire Emblem, and overall that truly just would have been a poor marketing decision in general, so I'm glad they stayed away from releasing it in 2019. But wow, I mean, it honestly looks so amazing, and I'm so excited for it. March 20th, 2020, a date that is not too far away. Finally, the presentation closed, and the man himself, Shinya Takahashi, or however you pronounce it, Takahashi, whatever, comes out and goes, "Watch this shit, little bitches." And then out of the fucking left field, Little Mac punches you in the face, and as we open our eyes, we see a sequel is in the works for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And then it hit me again, a complete wave of astonishment. I mean, the Nintendo Direct gave us basically everything everyone wanted. Pikmin 4 and Metroid Prime are the only games we didn't get a look at, and I would say it's incredibly sad for Pikmin fans. I truly feel bad for you guys because you keep getting absolutely dicked on. But Metroid Prime 4 did just get scrapped entirely, so I understand why it wasn't there. It's now being developed by Retro, and I'm very excited to see what that game will become. Aside from that, Nintendo's Direct didn't have a lot of downsides. Some games weren't really shown, and it made some people sad, but everything everyone wanted was there, basically, for the most part. I mean, the only thing I have an issue with, but it's not really related to E3 at all, Pokemon Sword and Shield wasn't a big part of it, but the national decks will not be in Sword and Shield, and that's just due to the massive size of the game itself, which sucks for many people who had hopes to put all their Pokemon into Sword and Shield. My condolences go to you guys. Overall, Nintendo hit it out of the fucking ballpark this year. They showed everyone that Nintendo is about fun video games and not just shit cinematics that people don't want to see, and I applaud them for that. Nintendo does games best, and it's truly a good year for gaming altogether, especially now that Nintendo is making a comeback and it's giving games people fondly remember for years and years to come. I give Nintendo's E3 a solid 4 out of 5. Now to the overview. E3 2019 was a year of innovation and great games to come. With Sony out of the picture for E3 this year, other than its weird state of play, which was disappointing to many people, it allowed for the companies leading behind in sales to give their pitch for people to come back to their console. And it is possible that with the lead into 2020 and the full-on announcements of the PlayStation 5, the new Xbox lineup, and the new Nintendo Switch Pro and Mini that are leaking, Wall Street Journal is adamant on saying these things are real. I would leave it to any of these large companies to dominate 2020 and beyond. But the question on the table is, who won E3 2019? Putting aside the score and biases aside, let's look at the facts that was shown and what was most jam-packed and exciting for many people this year. Microsoft had an incredible showcase, showing off handfuls of third-party games and some first-party stuff that truly rumbled the floor, topping it with a console that, from what they have said so far, looks very enticing to me and I'm sure to many other people. Bethesda's presentation, I don't even want to mention. I don't have to really. It wasn't good whatsoever, other than their third-party developer stuff, but that I don't count that. It's not made by Bethesda. It's made by a completely different company owned by Bethesda, so I have to take them out of the ring. Devolver really showed E3 how to keep people interested throughout an entire conference. They completely changed how E3 could work in the future by mixing up their presentation with an actual storyline, which I thought was a very fascinating idea, and I'm sure many people can agree with that. They brought some really interesting games to the table, but I'm going to have to take them out of the ring because there just wasn't enough. They're not as big as I want them to be, but maybe in the future they could actually win E3 2019, but we'll have to wait for them to find out. Ubisoft showed some really interesting stuff this year, and I'm excited to see what everything holds for the future of their company, and the games they showed off look very interesting, but it wasn't strong enough to hold my full attention throughout the entire presentation, so I take them out of the contender list. Finally, the last conference I watched was Nintendo, and before I go on another long rant about how good the show was overall, all I have to say, it was an amazing presentation, and it definitely is a contender for the #1 spot. Well, who won? I definitely would have to say it was a tie. No one really won this year. Nintendo and Microsoft, they both truly brought out the big guns this year, and they definitely have my pockets slowly emptying throughout the entirety of 2019 and 2020. If I was going off of bias and what I like at the moment, I have to give the cake to Nintendo, though. Nintendo is my favorite company and will remain the sole champion of video games forever in my head. That was E3 2019 in a nutshell, and oh my goodness, it was just amazing, I'd say. It brought something everyone wanted to the table, and everybody got a slice of the cake for being excited, and I think everybody has something to be excited for in 2019 and 2020.